Chapter 28. Arona stared straight ahead, his face drawn, his expression more tired than anything else. "So, that's the way it is here on Earth," he said. "The military has pulled most of its highest-ranking officers and best remaining troops out, and they are off-world and well into hyperspace by now. A few more installations remain left to evacuate. The situation here has deteriorated steadily. Land communications are mostly down, satellite bounce is still working in areas where enough power remains to access it. Things are in chaos. In the past months, the aliens have increased their numbers at a rate that seems impossible. There are only a few enclaves left where security is holding them off. Perhaps 1 billion people have died in the last year and a half." Something pounded on the door behind Arona. "Even this place, which should have been able to hold out forever, is compromised." Amazing. The pounding increased. "I don't know if anybody will see this transmission," he said, "or that it matters if you do. Such a comedy of errors this whole thing has been. Were I a god, I would be laughing myself silly at man's stupidity." Thick plastic began to shatter under the force of the hammering. Arona managed a half smile. He reached into a drawer, came out with a stubby pistol. He looked to his left. Shards of black plastic flew past him from the unseen fury off the screen. Arona chambered around in the pistol, put the muzzle into his mouth, pulled the trigger. The back of his head sprayed red and white, and he fell forward just as a clawed hand grabbed at him. The talons missed. The alien corrected, then jerked the dead man from the chair like a puppet whose strings had been cut, shook him. Another shape moved into view, blocked the camera. After a moment, Arona was taken away. The room was now empty. The camera ran on, giving a view of the blood and brains and skull spattered onto the wall. "Oh, fuck," Billy said, staring at the screen. Next to her, Wilkes nodded, his face grim. "It was all for nothing," he said. "We blew their fucking planet up, but it was too late. They were already on Earth. The stupid bastards brought them home, and they got loose." Blake and the crewman stood there, also watching. Beulah lay on a gurney behind Billy. "What are we going to do, Sarge?" "Do? What can we do? We're in orbit. We're going down." Nobody had any better ideas. Then the crewman, Parks, his name was, said, "Wilkes, we've got company." "What are you talking about?" "Check the Doppler screen." Wilkes glanced at it. He swore softly. It was the Elephant alien ship, hanging in space only a couple of 100 kilometers away. Impossible as it was supposed to be in the Einsteinian subspace, the thing had followed them. How? Why? "You are cleared for touchdown at these coordinates, Benedict. Your computer should do fine, but keep a hand on manual just in case. You veer too much and you land in enemy territory, and if you do, you're dinner." "Thanks a lot, Control," Wilkes said into the comm. If the computer failed, they were dead. Nobody on the ship could pilot a starhopper accurately in atmosphere, certainly not to a pinpoint landing. "We'd rather you get down in one piece. We need the hardware. Outside of pre-programmed troop carriers, we don't have a lot of birds that can even make orbit." "Copy, Control. We're on the glide." Wilkes leaned back. Things sounded even worse than the recordings they had seen and heard. Arona's supposedly safe installation had been overrun weeks ago. There didn't seem to be much left to come back for, but Wilkes had to see it for himself. His victory on the aliens' homeworld was meaningless now. When the ship landed, there were dozens of soldiers waiting, guns levelled at them. An officer, a colonel or a general, Billy guessed, strode up and nodded at Wilkes. "We're glad you brought the ship back, Sergeant. We need it. This is the last secure compound remaining, and we're bailing out. What's going to happen to Earth?" The man shrugged. "I can't say. I'm supposed to take the rest of my men to the outpost we've established. High Command will sort it out from there." "You're just going to leave? What about the people here?" The man shook his head. "What I think is the aliens will overrun everything. Then someday we'll come back and try again. Develop some way to kill them from orbit without damaging the land or sea too bad. Some kind of biological or chemical thing. We'll start with a clean slate." Wilkes looked as if he were going to punch the man. "There are billions of human beings here." "Were billions, Sergeant. The aliens have taken a lot of them. A lot have been friendly fired. A lot died in experiments designed to stop the creatures. There are maybe 500-600 million left, and going fast. We can't save them. If we're lucky, we'll get clear before this place goes up." As if on cue, a junior officer leaned over to the commander. "Sir, Pickett's report a surge from the southeast, several thousand bugs attacking. They are through the minefield and approaching the fences." "Check out the Benedict," the officer ordered, "and send C Company to help the Picketts." The armed soldiers swarmed into the ship. The officer said, "When you think about it, maybe it's not all bad. Earth was on the edge of destruction for a long time. If it hadn't been this, it would have probably been something else that set it off. This way, we can maybe get it right next time." "What about us?" the crewman asked. Parks, his name was. Parks. "I'm sorry," the officer said, "but there's only so much room. I have my orders." "Wait," Wilkes said. "There's another factor. We had help on the aliens' homeworld, another spacefaring species. It saved us." "So?" "It followed us here, in its own ship. Look, Sergeant, this is all very interesting, but what difference does that make? You think this thing can wipe out all the bugs on the planet?" "I don't know, but it might help." The officer glanced at his chronometer. "If we had the time, yes. But if our intelligence is right, we've got a day, maybe only a few hours, before we're overrun. We've set nukes to take out the complex after we're gone. We've lost this war, Sergeant. It's time to retreat. Damn it!" The officer drew his sidearm. "Don't do anything stupid. You can die right now if you do." Wilkes held his hands wide. Blake, standing between Billy and Beulah on the gurney, moved over a hair. The officer swung his gun to cover her. "I can't let you shoot anybody, General," Blake said. "Listen, Marine. I've been shooting people for months. A few more won't matter." Blake smiled and moved towards him. "Blake, don't!" Wilkes said. But she kept going. The general fired, his bullet taking Blake square in the chest. Blake hardly paused. The man cursed, fired again. Wilkes jumped, slammed the heel of his hand into the general's temple just as he swung his pistol around and fired a third round. The bullet spanged into the side of the Benedict. Wilkes followed the hand strike with his elbow and a kick as the general fell. He twisted the gun from the man's hand, spun to face the hatch to the ship. A soldier stepped out. Wilkes shot him in the head. Blake went down. Parks ran off screaming. Billy went to the downed android, the downed woman. "Blake, couldn't let him shoot you," she said. She smiled. "Be sure I get my medals. Okay, Sarge?" Wilkes glanced at her. "Yeah, kid. No sweat." Blake's eyes dilated suddenly as Billy watched. Wilkes shook his head. "Damn. Hit her in the main pump. One chance in 10,000. It's supposed to be caged and almost bulletproof. Must have ricocheted." Billy said, "Blake!" "She's gone, Billy," Wilkes said. "And we'll be gone too if we don't move our asses. Fast. I just killed a general. Go! He pulled her up, but she twisted away and grabbed Mitch from his gurney. She slung him onto her back. Billy, God damn it! I'll keep up, she said. Mitch said, Billy, don't do this. Shut up, Mitch. Otherwise I'll stay here with you and they'll kill me. If you don't want me to do that, then you have to hang on and go with me. Wilkes sprinted away, Billy and her passenger right behind him.